Hello and welcome to a new Ukraine war update. Today, we have a lot of interesting footage to go over, so stay tuned. If you appreciate the effort I put into this video, please show your support with a like and comment. It really helps this channel out a lot. Thank you. Here we see a Russian 9K-330 TOR surface-to-air missile system observed by a Ukrainian drone. The 9K-330 noticed the drone as well and launched a clearly visible missile at it. The missile closely misses the drone and the Ukrainians respond with the launch of two GMLRS HIMARS missiles. One misses, the other hits its target. Ukrainian forces successfully shot down a Russian Su-25 aircraft over the Donetsk region. This downing was carried out by the 110th Separate Mechanized Brigade using a short-range air defense system. The Su-25, known for its role in providing close air support to ground troops, was hit by a manned portable air defense system as it was operating alongside another Su-25. The downing was filmed by Ukrainian forces on the ground and also by a drone in the air. In the drone footage, we can see the plane crashing to the ground after being hit, with the pilot ejecting. His parachute is visible. What happens to him afterward is unknown. This helmet cam footage shows Ukrainian special forces in urban combat with Russian troops in the Donetsk region. The men are part of the Omega unit of the National Guard of Ukraine and are seen engaging Russians with small arms fire and a rocket launcher. In the following segment, it looks like this operator is aiming his rifle at what must be a Russian drone hovering above their position. And here we see that they were operating alongside a British-donated Spartan IFV. The Omega unit was established in 2003 for counterterrorism and high-risk operations. They consist of several specialized detachments stationed in various regions. Here we witness what has been reported as Russian quadcopter drones dropping grenades on Ukrainian drones mid-air, leading to their downing. And here, a Ukrainian drone knocks a Russian one out of the sky with a stick. Both approaches require a good portion of skill and also luck. These two soldiers are chased by an approaching FPV drone through a trench somewhere on the front. The drone, however, misses the soldiers by inches and, to their luck, fails to detonate. The men quickly take cover, awaiting the expected explosion of the drone's warhead. After realizing their luck, they continue to move forward through the trench. FPV drones can often experience high failure rates due to technical malfunctions and operator errors. It's still remarkable that what was most likely a second FPV drone hitting the helmet of one of the soldiers also failed to detonate, allowing them once again to get away. The men left the cover of the trench to take position in a nearby house. They even managed to avoid a third strike, which I cannot show here. What happened afterward is unknown. In an attempt to outrun the threat of Ukrainian FPV drones, Russian soldiers have started to use different means of transportation through the gray zone, such as motorbikes. While Western experts say that this is out of desperation due to the lack of armored vehicles, which can definitely be true to some extent, it is also because this approach fits Russia's current tactics of small unit-sized assaults better. This, however, does not change the fact that these motorbikes remain highly vulnerable to FPV drones and drone drop grenades, as this example demonstrates. This bike here left out in the open is an easy target for drone drops. To counter this at least a little bit, the Russians have started to add cages surrounding the motorcycles to protect them from drones, as seen in this example. However, this comes at the cost of maneuverability and therefore takes away much of the initial benefit these vehicles offer in comparison to larger, heavily armored vehicles. This vehicle, which is currently being chased by an FPV drone, even has a top over the cage, which must severely limit the driver's visibility. Nonetheless, the cage worked in this case, and the driver was able to get away after the drone hit his vehicle. Another attempt to at least conceal their bikes from Ukrainian drones is by using smoke screens. As you can see here, this tactic, however, makes it easy to spot them from a distance, and the bike deploying the smoke is easily trackable. Following vehicles coming behind, on the other hand, are at least a little bit concealed from spotting. While the smoke comes off like the contrail from an aircraft, making the vehicle an easy target, this exact thing can also be used to distract Ukrainian spotter drones' attention from other elements. It is possible that this tactic is intended to use single bikes as bait to allow other forces to maneuver. From what I have read on Russian Telegram channels, the soldiers driving the bikes are very well aware of the high loss ratio these units have. To deploy the smoke, they use old Soviet UDSH training mines modeled on the TM62M. In all this craziness, e-scooters are now also being used by Russians to navigate through the gray zone. It however has to be said that some time ago I also uploaded a video showing Ukrainian soldiers doing the same thing. I do not know why soldiers from both sides take the risk to use a vehicle that is heavily limited by terrain, but perhaps you know more here. Here, a shotgun is used by a Russian soldier to shoot down a Ukrainian FPV drone. Such videos are becoming more common as more shotguns are issued to counter drones. They are definitely more effective for this purpose than other small arms, but they only work if the drone is already relatively close. It seems that the soldier is also in possession of a warning device notifying him about drones in his area. Another form of protection is the anti-drone backpack, as worn by this Russian military blogger and TV journalist. Anti-drone backpacks are portable systems designed to detect and neutralize drones. They typically include RF jammers, detection systems, and have a portable design. The downside is that they are often limited in range. This clip shows a Ukrainian MiG-29 conducting an airstrike against Russian targets on Russian soil using a pair of French Hammer all-weather, small air-to-surface standoff weapons. The MiG-29 pilot flew at a very low altitude to avoid detection by enemy radars. France has committed to supplying 600 of these bombs in 2024 at a rate of 50 units per month. However, the manufacturer, Safran, announced in early June that it is ready to produce 90 units monthly. Here, we can see a Russian BMPT Terminator with overhead protection reportedly using its twin 30mm 2A42 autocannons against Ukrainian targets. Everything is filmed by a drone following the vehicle, but the impacts are not shown. It has been quite some time since a BMPT was spotted this clear on the front line. This is most likely due to the fact that Russia has not many of them, and they take extremely good care of them since a few were already destroyed. Therefore, the shoot and scoot attack consisted only of harassment fire. Despite its flaws, the BMPT has the most firepower compared to all other Russian IFVs. Also, it is extremely effective against especially infantry due to its twin cannon and automatic grenade launcher. This reference clip shows the effect of the BMPT's armament against an unarmored target on a training range. What you see here is archival footage released by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense showing Ukrainian special forces conducting an air assault during the Battle of Snake Island. The footage released of this operation was mostly filmed by helmet cameras worn by the Ukrainian Special Forces operators as they stormed the island. The footage commemorates the 2-year anniversary of the successful operation to retake the island from Russian forces in June 2022. It is possible that the men in this video were part of the 73rd Naval Special Purpose Center, a unit comparable to the US Navy SEALs and British SBS. We can see the men, who are obviously well geared, storming the island and clearing it with small arms fire and grenades after an intense artillery bombardment and strikes by Ukrainian aircraft, what is shown later in the video. During the battle, in which, according to Ukrainian sources, Russian equipment worth $950 million was destroyed, the Russian troops retreated from the island. Therefore, there is a relatively high probability that the island had already been largely cleared of Russian forces at the time this footage was taken, with only a small number remaining entrenched there, especially in the few buildings that offered at least a minimum of protection against artillery and other long-range weapon systems. This drone footage shows the entire island and parts of the artillery and fighter bomber strikes on it. Russia described its retreat from the island as a gesture of goodwill. However, from all the videos released, it is clear that they lost it militarily. Recently, a video surfaced showing the interior of a Russian T-90 tank during combat with Ukrainian forces. The tank is seen engaging the Ukrainians with its machine gun and cannon. The video clearly depicts how limited the soldier's situational awareness is inside the tank as the vehicle suddenly gets hit by a Ukrainian anti-tank guided missile. According to the Russian Telegram channel that uploaded this video, a Shtora-1 electro-optical active protection system detected the missile, but it appears the tank was hit and damaged nonetheless. Still seems like the crew and perhaps even the tank made it since this video was released by Russian sources and everything seemed fine for the most part after the hit. This Russian tank had its lucky day as it managed to avoid being hit by several artillery strikes and FPV drone attacks during a direct fire mission. The vehicle got targeted several times and each time the strikes missed it, some by just inches. A drone also captured some of the strikes from above, showing how close some of them were. This is not the first time such events were caught on camera. My last Ukraine war update showed similar scenes with the Ukrainian BMP, but it is still interesting to see. The tank simply keeps going as if nothing happened, even though the pucker factor for the crew must have been high. In Vovchansk, Ukrainian forces were able to stop the Russian offensive and even recaptured some lost territory. Large parts of the city have been destroyed in the battle so far. This helmet cam footage shows members of the Ukrainian Light Special Police Brigade during a clearance operation within the city. To shelter themselves from drones and artillery, Russian soldiers often hide in houses and basements, forcing the Ukrainians to clear them carefully with grenades and small arms. Some might remember that the Liat Brigade was used for a similar offensive role during the battle for Klishchivka in 2023. This is indicating that Ukraine at least took back some of the initiative on this part part of the front. By now it is safe to say that Russia's offensive in the Charkiv region stalled and Ukraine was able to stabilize the front in that area. Also, the overall situation for Ukraine got a little bit better compared to the beginning of the year, but still remains difficult. According to the deep state map, Russian paratroopers seized and still hold the aggregate plant here but are trapped and encircled by Ukrainian forces. However, geolocated footage on another map suggests that the Russians were able to link their forces again. This Ukrainian video from the plant shows 3 Russian soldiers inside the plant being observed by a Ukrainian drone. Notably is that they are wearing civilian clothes. However, their weapons gave them away and a Ukrainian FPV drone was sent in to engage them after one of them tried to shoot down the Ukrainian observer drone. In Chasiv Yar, Russian forces achieved their first victory by capturing the canal district east of the city. This, however, was the easy part. From now on, they have to overcome this bottleneck, and a pretty heavy urban battle lies ahead of them if they want to capture the city. Chasiv Yar is still defended by the Krynky group, which can be considered one of Ukraine's most elite formations. Due to Russia's advances, they had to retreat to the west side of the canal, but still put up a heavy fight as these helmet cam footage released by them shows. Chasiv Yar is of vital importance for the entire Ukrainian defense in the region, so I doubt they will give it up to the Russians that easily. However, the problem for them remains Russia's huge willingness to sacrifice their troops for tactical gains. This video from the canal district seems to be a continuation of a clip I included in my last Ukraine war update. This time, it appears to show a Russian soldier using a makeshift platform between 2 balconies of one of the many apartment blocks there to engage an alleged Ukrainian position. In Russia's biggest recent push so far, they advanced a little bit over 5 kilometers towards the Ukrainian town of New York south of Torets. These advances are made possible by the use of so-called glide bombs of the Fab 500 to Fab 3000 type, with the latter being shown here in action. The Fab 3000 is a 3-ton aerial bomb with an UMPK guidance kit. So far it is one of the largest conventional bombs used by the Russian military. The bomb is designed for maximum destruction with a high explosive payload intended to target fortified structures, airfields and industrial complexes. Typically deployed from high-altitude bombers, the Fab 3000 can cause extensive damage over a wide area due to its significant blast radius. While it is hard to intercept, devastating and dangerous for sure, it also has shown some inaccuracies in its targeting despite the newly added guidance system. West of Urozhaine, Russia also continued making advances and captured the towns of Lozivets, Troas and Vovch while managing to encircle approximately 2 battalions of the Ukrainian 31st Mechanized Brigade. Furthermore, Russian forces captured the town of Urozhaine. Unlike with the encirclement west of Urozhaine, the Russians have released footage from the capture of the town, showing the use of mechanized and motorized infantry. According to Russian sources, the 40th Guards Marine Brigade of the Pacific Fleet stormed the town in the video, driving out the Ukrainian forces. What is particularly interesting about this footage and assault is that Russia appears to have used a large number of soldiers on motorbikes. In this part alone, there are about 10 to 15 motorbikes in a column driving out in the open. It is unclear why Ukraine could not manage to disrupt their freedom of maneuver here. Neither artillery nor FPV drones were seen operating. In Krynky on the Kherson front, Ukrainian forces abandoned their bridgehead and pulled out of the area. Ukraine has been maintaining the bridgehead since October 2023 and took parts of the town using the well-known bite and hold tactics characteristic of this war. The positions they took, however, were very difficult to maintain due to the terrain and the town itself. To keep it short, Krynky did not offer easy terrain for combat. The area is swampy and the fishing village itself consisted mostly of wooden houses unsuitable for properly digging in. This led many to questioning the rationale behind the extremely costly operation. It has been reported that Ukraine lost 262 soldiers with 788 more who went missing. Nevertheless, the landing also had military logic. The left bank of the Dnipro is significantly lower than the right, allowing Ukrainian artillery and drone pilots to shell the enemy across the river. The Russian 810th Marine Brigade, active in Krynky, lost significantly more men and material in their assaults than the Ukrainians. Among the fallen was at least one general. In a broader context, the bridgehead at Krynky also served to force the enemy to divert resources from other front sections, thus weakening them. The fact that Russia simply could afford to lose more men than Ukraine still remains, however, and Ukraine's plan largely failed. While it definitely has to be admitted that Russia made slow progress, we still need to look at their gains on a broader scale. Here you can see Russia's progress on the Eastern Front from June 1st to July 25th. In this context, we see that the gains made were all on a tactical level, and so far no operational breakthrough was achieved. In the informational space, however, Russia keeps using these costly advances to fuel the narrative that Ukraine cannot win this war in an attempt to continuously undermine Western willingness to support Ukraine with money and weapons. This narrative is further fueled by the fact that, while Western support has increased again compared to the beginning of the year, it is still not enough to allow Ukraine more than delaying actions and limited strikes into the depths of Russian-occupied territory and Russia itself. In my first update this year, I already mentioned that negotiations could soon become an option for both parties. It seems that after Putin, Zelensky recently has now also shown partial willingness to do so, at least in theory. This, of course, comes under the shadow of a potential Trump presidency. Disclaimer, all of this is just my opinion and does not have to be the case, so please respect that and refrain from virtually throwing stones at me now. In terms of how a potential peace deal could look like, I cannot say much besides that the negotiations should have an outcome in which either side is unhappy or thinks he swindled the other. Here we have another example of Ukrainian drones attempting to down a Russian drone using a stick. This time, the attempt failed, and it also appears that the first Ukrainian drone crashed during the attempt. The Russian drone in question appears to be a solid drone, a model known for its advanced surveillance capabilities. Using sticks for drone interception is definitely the latest unconventional approach in drone-on-drone warfare. This reminds me of the famous quote, "I know not with what weapons World War III would be fought, but World War IV would be fought with sticks and stones." Do you know who said this? Like this video and write it in the comments. This Ukrainian tank was hit by a Russian FPV drone during a mission to clear an enemy tree line. The hit caused it to catch fire, prompting the tank commander to climb outside onto the top of the still moving, burning vehicle to conduct a battle damage assessment. Noticing the fire, he instructed the driver to pull back to get the tank out of the open field. The gunner handed the commander a fire extinguisher, enabling him to put out the fire and avoid the destruction of the vehicle. In my last update, I reported on Ukrainian forces using Yak-52 propeller planes to hunt for drones. It seems they have now expanded this approach and started training with Aeroprac type ultralight aircraft to intercept fixed-wing drones using small arms, as shown in this video. In the video, the shooter sits on the left, next to the pilot, and takes aim as the aircraft positions itself with the drone off its left wing. He is using what appears to be a Maliok rifle, a bullpup design that has been heavily used by Ukrainian special operations forces throughout the war. According to Roman Bachkala, a Ukrainian journalist, the idea behind putting a shooter in an ultralight aircraft came from the defense intelligence of Ukraine. Here, we have a rare instance of the mid-air interception of a Russian Lancet drone by a Ukrainian FPV drone from the Signum unit. During the course of this war, the Bradley infantry fighting vehicle has already proven its worth and effectiveness on the battlefield. It has destroyed numerous enemy armored vehicles and even tanks, thanks to its 25mm automatic cannon. Now, it has pulled off something incredible again, not once but twice. As we all know by now, the biggest danger for the Bradley is FPV drones. They are small, fast, hard to intercept, and the cause of many Bradley losses. I think by watching the footage on the screen you can guess what comes next. Here Bradley managed to shoot down a Russian FPV drone with his automatic cannon. And this happened not once, but twice in a row within a short amount of time, as this second clip showing a similar situation with another drone demonstrates. Pulling this off twice speaks more to experience and skill than to luck alone, or don't you think? According to reports from Ukrainian Telegram channels, this is the same Bradley from the previous clip, belonging to the 47th Mechanized Brigade. If you've watched until now, I really want to say thank you. You don't know how much you helped me out by simply watching my videos until the end. If you could also do me the favor of leaving a like and comment if you haven't already, you would truly be my hero of the day. Recently, my channel faced reach limitations by YouTube that were made worse by vile bot attacks, where bots would come to my channel to comment bad things and then leave immediately, causing my videos to rank lower and get less recommended. These bots even subscribe and unsubscribe to my channel to further manipulate the algorithm. Sometimes the first views my videos get are from these bots, even before real viewers. YouTube honestly does not care about this since my type of channel is not their preferred. That's why only you can help me combat this by watching, liking and commenting. You can also hit the bell icon and enable all notifications for this channel so you get notified when I upload and can help me hold the line against the first wave of bots that target my videos right after upload. Thank you in advance. This Russian BMP with the task of transporting infantry to the front is in the process of passing through a recently cleared minefield. However, this Russian sapper leads the BMP directly into a mine that he overlooked during the clearing, which subsequently puts the BMP out of action. The Russian Ministry of Defense released a video showing one of their so-called turtle tanks conducting a direct fire mission against static Ukrainian targets somewhere on the front line. I think this was done in response to comments from Western experts that this type of upgrade, if you can call it that, renders the tank mostly useless for any other tasks than transporting infantry or clearing a pathway for follow-on forces. However, it seems that more and more of these tanks are getting destroyed, and Ukraine has released a lot of footage showing the destruction of mostly abandoned turtle tanks recently. It strongly appears that the small momentum brought by the introduction of the turtle tank is already gone, and its initial success was due to Ukraine's lack of ammunition. Especially the variants without electronic warfare systems attached to them seem to be just as vulnerable to FPV drones as normal tanks. Additionally, their limited speed and maneuverability make them an easy target for cluster munitions and other artillery, as shown before. It is definitely interesting to see how quickly this so-called innovation was rendered ineffective on the battlefield. Now they just get taken out like any other tank on the front, even if this should be no surprise. It still seems that Russia has confidence in this approach, as we are definitely not seeing fewer of them. I would even say their numbers are increasing. This definitely shows that the cat and mouse game with new innovations continues, and that the FPV drone still proves to be a dominant weapon system on the battlefield, even if some generals in Western armies do not predict it will have a long-term lifespan due to advancements in counter-drone capabilities. The French army chief even went so far and said that small drones will soon lose all their advantage in combat. This is backed by the fact that already today 75% of drones on the battlefield in Ukraine are lost to electronic warfare, but perhaps more to this in another video. Nonetheless, first-person view drones currently carry out about 80% of the destruction on the front line in Ukraine, making them the most casualty-producing weapon for now. Ukrainian forces even managed to capture a still operational turtle tank and detained its crew, as this drone video shows. They placed the Ukrainian flag on top of it for identification purposes and drove it back to their own lines, where it was later examined and showcased. In this Ukrainian drone video, a Ukrainian BTR-3 is sending a huge amount of fire down the range towards Russian positions in the Donetsk Oblast. The video was released by the 95th Separate Polesian Air Assault Brigade on July 11, 2024. Speaking of heavy fire, the Ukrainian military released several videos of their mobile anti-air units shooting down Russian Shahid kamikaze drones over Ukraine. According to them, Russia has launched 2,277 Shahid attack drones over Ukraine since January 1, 2024. Ukrainian anti-aircraft defenses have successfully destroyed about 86% of these drones, totaling 1,953. These results have been achieved by enhancing the combat capabilities of the defense forces of Ukraine's mobile fire groups. These groups, consisting of thousands of servicemen, take to firing positions almost every night to shoot down enemy UAVs using all available weapons. The Air Force established mobile fire groups at the onset of the Russian invasion as a necessary measure. The constant increase in enemy air attacks, particularly with attack UAVs, required a prompt response, including increasing both the number and quality of mobile fire groups. More than 80% of the downed drones are credited to the mobile fire groups of the defense forces of Ukraine. As the war progresses, it continuously reaches new technological levels, with various UAVs and artificial intelligence playing increasingly significant roles. Mobile fire groups are also evolving, likely incorporating UAV interceptor operators and other advanced weapons, including combat lasers, in the near future. A similar video showing the interception of an unmanned Ukrainian system was also released by Russia, but this time the target was an unmanned kamikaze boat. The Ukrainians launched their attack at night, and the Russians responded with a significant amount of outgoing tracer fire to stop the unmanned sea vessel. These kamikaze boats are part of Ukraine's innovative approach to asymmetrical warfare, leveraging relatively inexpensive unmanned systems to challenge more heavily armed and expensive Russian naval assets. While the interception rate of these boats is also high, they frequently manage to hit and heavily damage Russian warships in the Black Sea, even causing some of them to sink. The successful interception prevented the kamikaze boat from reaching its target and causing potential damage. The use of such boats has added a new dimension to the conflict, where technological innovation and adaptive tactics play critical roles. Similar attacks have already been documented by other actors in different parts of the world. This drone successfully delivered an armed FPV drone to the front line, where it was then picked up by a soldier for further use. This logistical operation demonstrates the sophisticated coordination and technological capabilities employed in modern warfare. Just crazy times we live in. This bathtub is definitely not what you think. Under it, a Russian soldier is hiding in an attempt to crawl safely through the gray zone, hoping not to be seen by Ukrainian drones. It is also possible that he hopes the tub would offer him some protection from drone strikes. This scene reminds me of the tub video from the 400 Night drone team Sivdiv recently released on his channel, where it was shown that these tubs definitely offer no protection against FPV drones. These Ukrainian fishermen were not pleased about being filmed by a Russian drone and promptly showed their displeasure by throwing a fish at it. The fish hit the drone but was not enough to bring it down.